Hello again, everybody. It's Takedown, Scott Casper. We continue our coverage of the sport. The Nike hot seat today is populated by a man who's held his spot in East Lansing, Michigan, who, after his 25th season at the helm of Michigan State, will retire. He joins us now as the head coach, Tom Minkel. Tom, how are you?
I'm quite good, Scott. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know that this is a different time as Mark Hollis, your AD, has announced a coaching succession plan for the Spartan wrestling program, and perhaps no better salute or way to go out than with an assistant coach that you've long admired, taking over your position a year from today. And it's neat that it's not immediate. It's neat that it's somebody that you know and has great and young and future plans for the program. And it's nice that you still have some things that you want to get done too. You're only what, in your mid-60s?
Yeah, I think I'm 66, but I'm in that range.
All right. So you recently completed your 18th season. Roger did, I should say, on the Spartan staff. So he has been, I think, trained as good as he's going to get, at least as an associate or an assistant coach. What are some of his strengths that he brings to the head coaching position?
Well, Roger, first of all, is just a class act at every level. First of all, he's got a great work ethic. He's in early, he stays late. He works his tail off and got a great work ethic. Secondly, he's a great wrestler. He gets taken down about once a year, but he's still an outstanding wrestler. And then thirdly, he's organized, and he's got it. He knows what he's doing, and then he's an outstanding coach. He relates really well to the guys on the team, and so he has all those things, that everything that you need to be a successful college coach at this level. Roger's got. So and we've worked together for 18 years, and we're not only coworkers, but we're good friends. And I am 100% confident that he'll do an awesome job as the new head coach at Michigan State. And I'm excited for him, and it's going to be great.
Michigan State has long had a plan, a succession plan for its athletic programs to ensure successful transition. We look to men's soccer coach Damon Rensing. He had the privilege of serving as head coach designate under Joe Baum, and that's just one example. I believe Mark Hollis served alongside Rod Mason as the athletic director designate during his final months as AD at Michigan State back in 2007. So this succession plan really works, and you're going to be there to hand off the baton, as it were. It's got to be gratifying.
Well, it really is, and I should say, Mark Hollis is our athletic director, and he is just a world-class AD. I mean, and he's just as good as they come in this business, and so it's an honor to work for him, and I think everyone in our department feels the same way. He's just a great AD and a great person, and so as you go through transitions like this, he really, I've met with him a lot, and so has Roger and our other administrators, and we've talked, how to best do this, and so it's, I feel very fortunate to be in an athletic department that is as good as the one that we're in. So Mark, has done an awesome job, and I think the transition will be smooth. And probably the most important thing is Roger really is the right guy for the job. I mean, he knows it inside out, and he's a great coach and a great guy, and I think there's no question that that he'll have enormous success here.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. Roger Chandler to be the new head coach 1 year from today, as Tom Minkel will mark his 25th year this year with the Spartans. And Michigan State surely is celebrating all that you've done, including your creative approach to marketing the sport in the time. And Tom, you saw it. The NCAA and at all levels cut programs drastically across the country, much to your disappointment, I'm sure, as most of us. And you've been able to at least put a different spin on how you saw this sport. And your career, accomplished as it has been distinguished, if by anything, the way you've addressed the sport, your fans, your team, the supporters, the financial contributors, your alumni, and of course the athletic department. Where does that come from? Because this is a sport where it's easy to take shots at coaches.
Well, the coaching business, as you well know, is a tough business. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and I mean, it's just. It's so much now tied to winning and losing, and that's fine. But I think it's important to not lose fact of the matter that when you coach, you have an enormous influence on the young men that you coach, and the guys that we work with are from 18 to 23 years old. They're away from home usually for the first time in their lives, and really kind of deciding and determining what kind of young men they're going to be. And oftentimes, as a coach, you have a big influence, not only on their wrestling, but on their lives and the directions they take, and the decisions that they make, and how they respond under pressure and disappointment and success, and as you know, in those years, that often determines what kind of man you turn out to be, and as a coach. You're often the person they turn to for guidance, and if there's trouble, you have to be there to help them, and you also celebrate their successes. And so it's the coaching profession is a great profession in the fact that you just have an enormous influence on the people you work with. And so for myself, that's probably the most gratifying thing. And as I look at the young men that I've coached and worked with, not only the guys who've been successful wrestling, but all those guys who've been in our program, I feel really good about the relationships I have with them and the directions that they have gone.
I know you've loved coaching all these years. You've loved the sport of wrestling, and surely the passion is still there. But when you sit with your wife and you talk about the options at 65 or 66 years old, obviously, we're on the downhill side of it all, and there are certain things we want to do with our life and do it together, hopefully with our wives, our families. Are there things that you're looking forward to doing with your family?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't talk about this very much, but my hobby is playing poker. And I've been a pretty serious player for a lot of years. I've played in the World Series out in Las Vegas, and poker has a lot of the same elements that wrestling does. It's about making good decisions under pressure. It's about keeping your composure when things go bad. It's about being rested when the other guys are tired. It's being sober when when they've been drinking. It's about handling a bad beat, and not letting it affect you and your other decisions. There's some great parallels there, and so after next year, I plan to play poker professionally for a while, and honestly, I can't wait. It's one of those things that in the coaching business, you can never get away from coaching. So there's not many times where I can get away from this job, But a year from now, I'm really looking forward to going out and playing professionally for a while.
Now, there are some out there that describe you, myself included, as a statistical genius. You're able to see numbers and patterns of numbers that others aren't, and that perhaps is one of the great strengths of your game of poker. Will you be wearing sunglasses while playing?
Actually, that's a good question. But I don't normally wear sunglasses, but keeping what you have under wraps is very important. And like I said, the game is enormously difficult. You play at the higher levels of No Limit Hold'em. It's a very tough game, and you play against some very good people. And it's again, like I said, the parallels to wrestling are very close. And I'm fortunate to have had a background in math. My degree in college was math, and then I went to grad school in statistics, and so I'm fortunate to have that part. But then there's there's some other elements to the game as well, and so I can't wait. I'm really excited about it.
Of all the young people that you've coached, and I know this perhaps may be an unfair question, but you are in the Nike hot seat. So, of all the young men that you've coached over the years and had a tremendous impact on, some come from various backgrounds of not having any money, or some that had money. Are there some that stand out that perhaps have risen above it all and accepted your challenge of becoming a better person? Not putting the blame on other people, taking civic responsibility, understanding the importance of academics, why you're truly in school. Are there some that stand up and stand out?
Oh, well, absolutely, and you just nailed it too. I mean, probably the most recent young man in that category would be Franklin Gomez.
Oh.
Franklin came from from poverty in Puerto Rico. His mom at one time lived in a home with no air conditioning, and his dad passed away when he was a child, and seriously, just had nothing in terms of the financial side of life, but he is involved in. I mean, he was here actually a couple months ago, and he'll wrestle in the World Championships in Las Vegas in September, and the Olympic Games the following year, but he is very grounded. Wrestling is not the world to him. It's a vehicle by which he can help others, and so Franklin really comes to mind. He's very concerned about others and helping kids and that kind of thing. So Franklin, and then I think Rashad Evans is another great example of a young man who came from nothing. He came. I mean, when Rashad got here, he just had nothing. He came from New York, had all his possessions in 2 trash bags, but then never let that kind of background hold him back, and of course now has made a huge name for himself, not only in wrestling but the UFC, and again it's just a class act when it comes to that kind of thing. So I guess those two just come to mind, but I'm sure there have been lots of others, but those two are probably ones that other people would know.
No, that's two, I think, pretty high selections, and I want to quote something that Roger has said. I've been fortunate enough to be alongside Coach Minkel for the past 18 years. He's given me the opportunity to observe and engage with other coaches from the Big Ten and across the country, which has provided valuable insight on how to lead a Division I program. He looks forward to celebrating Tom's final year as we honor all of his accomplishments and all that he's achieved during his tenure at MSU. I think, first of all, I think he's a really bright guy, one that can craft, a well-constructed sentence. But, I think what he said there is the very idea, perhaps, that you weren't so much a coach as you just were a really great teacher.
But coaching is all about teaching, and I think and Roger will do this as well. As he becomes a head coach, is that you not only teach your wrestlers, but you hopefully have an influence on your staff and the coaches that you work with. And Roger came here right out of college, but probably the most important thing is that Roger is very much a learner. I mean, he wants to know everything about the sport and about coaching, and so we work closely together and have gotten along tremendously well. And that doesn't mean that at all Roger's a yes man. In fact, quite the contrary. He's got very strong ideas, and there are times where we've had some heated arguments over what we're doing or why we're doing it. But ultimately, again, we find a way to come to a common agreement, and he's just one hell of a guy, and so it's one of the things that's most satisfying for me here is that Mark Hollis, our athletic director, has hired Roger to succeed here as the head coach, because Roger deserves it and is qualified in every conceivable way, and it's very satisfying to be in a position to see the program go to Roger, and then and I'm sure the future will be tremendously bright for him.
So if you look back on your career and the evolution of the sport, evolution of coaching has taken place before our very eyes. We've seen guys like Harold Nichols, who who perhaps wasn't the most up and down guy on the mat when it came to technique. I mean, a lot of that went to Les Anderson and other coaches. But you say that a good coach, generally speaking, will have an opportunity and essential qualities to add to his resume. And one of them is being on the mat, being an outstanding wrestler, understanding the physicality of the sport. Do you think that has changed over the last 25 years, where today's coach needs to be more physical?
It's a very good question. I do think, that one of the things, that challenged me when I first started coaching is I came from a mathematical or mathematical background, and everything in mathematics is built on, principles and on theorems and on things that are, set in stone. And when I first started coaching, I kind of coached like everybody else. I would just teach moves, and I would teach this and that, things that I saw work, but when I became a head coach, I realized that I needed to not only coach moves, but I needed to coach the theory of wrestling. I mean, what are the principles of, what are the principles of successful wrestling? What are the laws of successful wrestling? And so I spent a great deal of time kind of evolving in that way and basically coming up with, ideas. So I'm not teaching just moves, but I'm teaching the fundamentals of wrestling. And, so that's been an ongoing process since I became a head coach. And so I feel, quite confident that now when I teach, I'm not teaching just skills, but I'm teaching the underlying principles. And I think that helps wrestlers, develop into, fundamentally sound athletes.
Tom Minkel will retire as the second longest tenured coach in program history, behind Fenley Collins, who for 32 years led that program from 30 to 62, and Grady Penninger, who a lot of us look up to, and I know you do, Tom, as well. It's
I had dinner with Grady just a few weeks ago. So
what a gentleman!
Just a great guy.
Now, as you go on this interview, we'll have surely a year to conduct more, but I've never said this. Tom Minkel, a three-time U.S. National Greco-Roman champ, a member of the 1980 Olympic team, and 7 U.S. teams. You competed internationally for the United States. You had an outstanding collegiate career as well. And for that, we thank you, and we send you off on your final year as the head coach of the Spartans of Michigan State. Tom, thank you. Congratulations. This is the way you do it.
Well, thank you very much. It's, I said I'm grateful for our relationship and our friendship, and look forward to being in touch with you, this season.
Tom Minkel has been our guest in the Nike Hot Seat today. It's been announced that in a year from now, Roger Chandler will take over the program, the Big Ten program that is Michigan State, the home of the Spartans. You can find out more online at msuspartans.com. For our guest, Tom Minkel, who has been a frequent guest over the years, and his support has not gone unnoticed. We appreciate that, Tom. We look forward to talking to each and every one of you soon. This has been Scott Casper speaking. Thanks for listening.